Hey everybody, welcome Tristan and his whiteboard live. This is Tristan Emond with Mindful Living Realty, and yes, there's a unicorn on the board behind me. My daughter likes to come in and draw things on my board while I'm away, and I thought it was kind of a cool, good conversation piece, so I left it up. Happy Unicorn Day. So today we're going to talk about something for sellers especially, and that is, it ain't over until it's over. So we get the purchase agreement signed, and yes, it's good to be excited. We've got it sold, but that's just one piece of the process. We got to get it all the way closed. There's a lot of things that could happen between purchase agreement time and closing that we need to kind of talk about so you're aware of what all could happen before that closing can happen. So here's how this scenario works. We have a buyer, and they've got many pieces involved in getting the deal closed. We've got a lender, and the lender has underwriters. We've also got insurance agents, and they've got underwriters. And then we've also got their agent, buyer's agent, and of course we can't forget about parents and family. That can really be an issue. And then there's this one over here, memories. Well, last time I bought a house, when this and that and the other, and and there's one over here that I love as well. Well, my aunt is an agent in California from 20 years ago, and she said this. Those are my favorite ones. Now, any one of these pieces, somebody could drop the ball, and it's nothing you or I can control. Yet each one of these people could have an effect on that buyer purchasing your home. Case in point, I had a deal a couple of years ago. I had representing the seller, and the lender told me that this buyer was pre-approved, and we were going to close. They were trying to get it closed quick, so they were going to go through this one procedure. Every time I called him to find out where things were at, he kept telling me, "Oh, it's in underwriting. It's in underwriting." Finally, he comes back, and basically he was lying to me. He comes back later and says, "Oh, actually, this deal didn't work. This lender wasn't going to be able to help us. We got rejected. So we got to start all over again. So we can't close for another 45 days. Well, obviously, my seller was livid at this point, but it was obviously the best choice at that time to keep things moving along. Well, then the buyer got kind of non-motivated to buy the property. Something happened with his job, and all of a sudden he was is no longer approved to buy the property. Hence, he got out of that deal, unfortunately. So my seller already moved out, already waiting for the property to get sold, had spent money on moving things, spent money on storage units, all that kind of stuff, all that kind of money. We had to put it back on the market. Not a very happy situation. But that kind of thing can happen. Another scenario we had just recently is we had a buyer that had a death in the family, a close relative. It so happened that their funeral for their relative, I'm sure if it was a sister or what it was in Arizona the day after our closing date. So, of course, what are you going to do? You let them have the time. And of course, since it was near Christmas, they wanted also to have that week after to spend the time with the family. During this time, they had to get some documentation into the lender. Well, the lender did not tell us or them that, oh, by the way, not only do I need it in, I also need time to send it through underwriting. So by the time everything was said and done there, they got the documentation in finally near the end of the second week, and then we needed another week to process it and finally got closed 3 weeks after the original closing date. These things happen. I've heard stories of the seller or the buyers, the sellers, it was in this case, the sellers were found dead in their house one morning. We can't make this stuff up. This stuff actually happens. I've had buyers feel like, well, the home was too much work, and they decided, no, I got cold feet and back away, like first-time home buyers. We've got scenarios where a buyer's wife, decided that she didn't want to buy the home after a while, because the husband had bought it, and the buyer's wife said, nah, I don't know if I really want to be here. Of course, we talked to him about all the options, and they did actually end up purchasing it. But so, now of course, there are options. There are ways that you can handle these types of scenarios. But my point is, that's a lot of different things that can happen. Got a lot of different stories that we can tell you about how things fell apart at the last minute. Now, don't freak out. Don't create problems for yourself, but just know that things can happen along the way. And it isn't over until the buyer at closing signs that piece of paper and piece of papers, and the whole deal is funded. So be warned, if I have to give you a phone call and say, remember when we were talking about that one time I'd call you if something happened? Yeah, this is that call. Of course, if the buyer's default, you have every right to keep earnest money and sue and all that kind of thing. But just keep your chin up during the process. Go with the flow. Things happen. Weird things happen. Let everything just happen. Roll with it. Roll the dice. Everything will be fine in the end. Majority of homes end up getting closed, end up getting taken care of, and we work through the process. But you just have to be a little more understanding of this mess and the whole process. So, all right, I got an extra card there, so that's all I got. Thank you very much for watching today. Hope you guys are having a great week. Let me know if you have any questions or any comments below. Other than that, have a great day and talk to you next time on Tristan and his whiteboard.